Let's start off. I actually haven't probably explained who I am in case there's anyone in the room who doesn't know. My name is Oscar Clark. I'm a consultant. I do a whole bunch of things to help people make games. And I'm very glad I worked with a gentleman in the middle row there, Tony Pierce, who has a great game called Reality Clash. And I got to help work on the game design for that. So that's my interest in blockchain. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what your interest in blockchain is?
Hey everybody, my name's Chris McCann. I've been an advisor to the Cocos-BCX team since the beginning when they started. I also used to work at a traditional venture capital fund called Greylock Partners based here in Silicon Valley. We're investors in companies like Facebook, Dropbox, LinkedIn, Airbnb, a bunch of others on the consumer and enterprise side. And then most recently, I started a new venture fund focused on the blockchain space with two partners of mine. So that's what I'm currently doing.
Hi, my name is Tae-Hoon Kim. People call me TK. I'm the CEO and founder of nWay. We focus on competitive real-time multiplayer games for crossplay and all the platforms, for all the gaming platforms. Our most recent game, Power Rangers Legacy Wars, recently had 50 million downloads, and it was the first fighting game that was PvP only. And the blockchain portion that I'm really interested in is for competitive gaming and esports, we believe that the game needs to be fun to watch, and for the game to be fun to watch, there needs to be rewards. And we're really interested in looking at blockchain for doing rewards for competitive gaming.
So Nick Brondo, I'm the head of programmatic for BitTorrent. We are obviously owned by Tron. I oversee all of our monetization efforts with our media and also now with the kind of future endeavors. As far as blockchain starting, Tron's been kind of my first foray into it, which has been really interesting. And we're really excited as far as the distribution and just kind of the efforts that we can do to really have DApps and gaming have a wider adoption.
Absolutely. So I think, Chris, with yourself, I mean, you were saying in terms of your kind of engagement with Cocos, it'd be interesting to know a little bit more about your first encounter with blockchain and kind of how that formed your thinking.
Specific to Cocos or just
generally, but I'm interested to sort of, I see you're involved with that, so it'd be interesting to see the journey to it.
So the more general case, so personally, I first put some money into Bitcoin back in 2013. The main reason why is I was looking at Silk Road. It got started. It was this big thing. People were using this weird digital currency called Bitcoin. So got into that, Tor, all that sort of stuff. So that's how I first got into it. But then when Ethereum launched, I think that was the first inclination that, wow, you could actually build applications on top of this thing. It's not just purely for value transfer. You could actually construct, simple at the time, but simple smart contracts or applications on this. And then I think CryptoKitties was one of the biggest sort of ways where, hey, not only could you construct like a simple application, but gaming and consumer applications in general could also be constructed on top of this thing. And so we actually had a previous relationship with Richard, one of the co-founders of Cocos, because Cocos 2DX is a large gaming engine that precedes sort of blockchain. So if you think about some of the strategic assets in this place, if you already have a large gaming platform that people are using, that seems like a much more logical way to launch a new thing off of versus trying to build it from scratch up. So we, from an investing standpoint, we always look for the entrepreneur's background and how much work they've actually done in this space. And him and Haju clearly have a lot of experience in the gaming sector.
I mean, as someone who used to work in Unity, I'm with you. It's like this idea of games first, but now what can we use it? And actually that leads me on to TK, your description of your interest in blockchain was quite interesting for me. So what kind of triggered that in the first place? I mean, obviously you've got this experience with multiplayer gaming. How did that turn into being about blockchain?
Yeah, when we were operating Power Rangers Legacy Wars, we partnered with Amazon, and they had a platform called Game On, and it's mainly for giving real-world prizes for online events and online tournaments. And what's unique about mobile esports is that you can have these tournaments anywhere. I remember working with Amazon and NBA, and during the halftime of the Celtics playoff game, we had we asked everybody to participate, and we awarded a $400 gift certificate that you can use at the Celtics store. So it's very intriguing what we can do with mobile esports. I think from our experience in working with them, we also found out that there are a lot of frictions in doing real-world prizes. So anybody outside the U.S. Cannot participate, and the rewards are not instantaneous. I mean, you still have to wait many days for you to get the reward. So we're looking at blockchain as a potential reward system that could potentially really kind of make things more instantaneous and also fun for people to watch. So yeah.
I like the idea that rewards are part of it, because particularly I'm very much interested in the kind of idea of the distributed part of it, because there are a lot of experiences which are tied into a specific game, and it'd be interesting to see how those rewards can then be leveraged in some other way. But kind of, I've got also a little foot in the advertising space, because my role at Unity was about Unity ads. So I'm kind of interested in your experience, Nick, in terms of the ad side of it and how that then got you into looking at blockchain.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just with overall kind of Tron network, we work very closely with Roy's team to make sure that we're thinking about things in the future, right? First, let's build the community and give them the resources to be able to mobilize a game, and then from there, as far as like getting those users, and kind of that synergy between us and BitTorrent and 100 million global users that we have, and then we'll start looking at the monetization. I mean, I've worked at a couple video SSPs, so it's very much in my blood to monetize games, and we worked with Unity and powered a lot of your guys' traffic. So, we're definitely trying to come up with interesting ways, given smart contracts, more direct automated guarantee deals, and how does that actually function within the entire ecosystem.
I think it's also, for me, having left Unity and thinking about the game design of it, a lot of the work I do is helping people understand monetization. It's a big hurdle to get people to start thinking even about free-to-play, let alone how we could then have distributed assets.
Yep.
But I feel like the advertising kind of mindset, the growth of opt-in ads and the growth of kind of using ad monetization in general, I think slightly less friction towards blockchain. Is that fair, or do you think I'm wrong?
100%. I think it starts with the advertisers, honestly, and I think they're looking and the transparency in the smart contract. All right, they know exactly what's happening and they can track it very well. There's no real third party you have to go through and verify and trust. It's like the contract exists and that's what happened. So really decreases overall fraud and just a lot of metrics that ad industry has issues with. But again, this is all things we're thinking about in the future. But there is a lot to do there. So
yeah, no, my brain's already spinning off on things like how you could do couponing and all sorts of other really interesting kind of things with that. And anything that breaks friction between the ad view and the experience is always great. But let's think about games again. So Chris, obviously you've done a lot of work in advising and investing and helping game teams. What's the biggest barrier, do you think, for game developers to be able to get the support they need to be able to go make the next blockchain great game?
Yeah, a very simple one, although in the blockchain space, it's kind of crazy that it's this simple, is a game first and foremost has to be fun. I feel like a lot of games in the beginning were more collectible type things, and you could even kind of make an argument like, is that really a game or not, or is it just kind of this collectible loop?
I have.
So first and foremost, people should actually, a good sort of exercise for both looking at investments, and probably would apply to games as well, is literally take off the crypto, take off the blockchain, just look at it like a standalone product. Would people actually want to play it? And if so, when you add all these, extra elements to it, then it enhances the game. It shouldn't make it more, it shouldn't add more friction to it. I feel like a lot of the early entrants into the blockchain space, a lot of people wanted to create, their own payment token or, this thing that you got to do it. But just think about it from a normal user that's playing a game, maybe on a smartphone or something. If you got to pull up a wallet and do a thing and make a transaction and worry about gas fee, that's so much extra cognitive overload. Like it needs to be more integrated within it, and then you should introduce the more complicated elements once they've actually earned something. Like if I start playing a game, I earn $20 or $50. Like hey, like at that point I might be like willing to go through the pain of actually taking the asset out or trading it or thinking about other stuff, but I'm probably not willing to do that work all up front. So a lot of the gaming specific applications might need to compromise slightly on the decentralization aspects, so you can sort of introduce them slowly, because you just want to reduce a lot of the user friction in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We used to joke when I was working at 3 back in the old Java days about we lost 50% of our audience every click. And it's not actually that far off the mark if you look at the average. If you think about, halving audience every time you have to interact with something, there's no wonder we have like 3% of people at the most ever spending money in a game. But yes, I think you're right. It's the whole idea of getting focused on the experience and focusing on the player. Is this what, particularly with multiplayer, are you seeing the same thing, that it's got to be about the experience and the shared moments and the blockchain?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't really believe in like the blockchain games sector. I think there's a big opportunity in taking existing games, and you can put a marketplace platform on those games. And the value add, I think, can come in 3 ways. One is by having NFTs, but basically putting some of the game assets on the chain. What that can provide to the players is that, traditionally when you buy things in the game and let's say you stop playing that game and you spend $1,000 in this game and that's gone, right? The benefit here is that you can kind of invest in all these items, whether it be a special armor or weapons. If you want to stop playing the game, you can kind of go and exit out and get some money back. There's also ways to do it so that you can put in some sort of minimum guarantee in it. So when you get the item and then if you want to kind of break it down and salvage it and kind of take the coin back, you get something back, right? I think that provides more incentive for people to invest in games. Kind of similar to how you pay some money to buy certain rare Magic the Gathering cards, and if you want to exit, then you can kind of sell it. Right?
And yet we can make it unique. So one of the things that Tony and I had fun with was trying to think about how weapon tokens would work, and we put in a serial number so that we knew that was a unique item. This was it. We still had ERC20. I think it's still ERC. I forget. Is it still ERC20, Tony? 721 now. So so it's basically the core to one of our thinking is we want people to love that weapon. We were toying with, can we get the number of headshots and kills and this idea of kind of making this item not just unique but essentially kind of living in some ways. So I think it's key to that experience.
And what's also for competitive gaming and multiplayer gaming, I think especially if there are rewards that are monetizable or valuable associated with it, then kind of the value of these items can also go up accordingly.
Exactly. So Nick, we've been talking a lot about kind of the player experience and the kind of putting the gameplay first, and then how we then make those assets themselves kind of essentially have an identity and a potential beyond the original point that you get them. But I'm sort of nagging in terms of the size of audience back in my head, and I'm thinking about there is the elephant in the room in terms of the numbers of people using BitTorrent, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are in terms of how that works.
Yeah, that's kind of the natural synergy, right? Is that Tron and BitTorrent work very hand in hand, and we have a very smart user base that's very tech savvy, and so through the adoption of the BTT and the actual wallet itself, we've decreased that barrier, as you were saying, right? Let's make it easy, get them in there. So one, we've decreased the barrier of getting a wallet, and then two, we have through our gaming fund and just the actual ecosystem, a lot of games are being developed. So we're trying to make make adoption and distribution easy, right? I mean, almost to the days of, Facebook, games at the very, very early stages, right? We can help drive a lot of users to the games, and it just kind of really depends on then finding that one or two that really makes it more of a global phenomenon. So very much for us, it's working closely with those developers, understanding their needs, and then building a kind of a strategy around that for them.
That sounds perfect. So, unfortunately, I have to wrap it there, but I'd like to sort of just ask you guys if you could give me, or give the audience, the one tip that you would like to share with them in terms of your experience so far and what will give them the best fighting chance to succeed in this space. Chris, do you have a sort of one kind of tip to rule them all? I know it's a hard ask, especially because you're having to go first.
Yeah, I'll actually give I was going to ask like more game developer specific or platform. I'll actually give like a much more general one, which I think, again, like coming from more the investor perspective is always good to keep in mind. You as the entrepreneur, whatever you're building, make sure you actually love what you're doing. I feel like a lot of people, especially like during like the craziness of the crypto phase, like they were just creating like another token, another thing, like just for the sake of it without really like both like, what's the purpose, like what's the use, and then like more importantly, like why are you doing it, and like why do you really care about this thing? And so like, if you love games and this is your passion and you want to create, some secondary market, like do that because you love it, not because you necessarily think that, there's money here or like some monetization scheme. Like sure, all the business stuff is important, but like from first principles, like make sure like the founder company fit is good. So just make sure you actually like what you're doing, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be doing this for a long time, so you better like it.
You better like it. TK.
Yeah, for me, I mean, he talked about it before, but like focusing on making the game is fun. That's the most important thing. Without that, I don't think anything will work. So like focus on making a good game, and then secondly, focus on making the user experience really good. Because right now, for all the crypto stuff, the flow is not very friendly for gamers. So whoever kind of nails that, I think can obtain a lot of benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. I think, content is king. Making content that people want and want to play and enjoy is, obviously first and foremost. But given that you said that, I think the next portion that's equally as important is the partnership. Making sure you have the correct partners, team, investors, whatever it may be, to really allow for that game to grow and really hit the masses.
Great. Thank you very much.